There are things that are normal thought processes and things that are abnormal thought processes. Think about this. When you go to a public place, whether it is a restaurant, sporting event, church, school, so on and so forth, what is your thought process? Well, your thought process is, what do you have to do? If it's at church, you're focused on worshiping the Lord. If it's at your job, you're focused on getting your job done or getting the hell out of there and going home. If it's at a restaurant, you're enjoying your food. But do you go out of your way to think, what is the race of the person who raised this cattle? What is the sexual orientation of the individual that created these coffee beans, that raised these coffee beans? What about when you go to the restroom? You see an individual who's washing their hands, you small talk with them about the weather, about sports, about their kids, so on and so forth. Do you think to yourself, that person is an Asian American? What if you went back to your table and said, I just talked to the greatest African American. Isn't he terrific? Is that something that a normal person says, thinks, or does? What does that tell you then? That tells you that the people that think that way are not thinking normally. They are the ones who are abnormal thinkers. They are the real racists, the real bigots, the real homophobes, and the real supremacists. Those who go out of their way to point out racism, sexism, all the isms, is all of those isms plus some. There's an interesting research paper that came out. It's Tamir and Mitchell paper. I'll link it in the description. But it states that people use their own thoughts and experiences as an anchor for their assumptions about other people. So often the harshest and most judgmental people of others are insecure about themselves. Next time, ask yourself, what does it mean about them? What negative thoughts do they have about themselves that anchor their belief about you? That's why I say, if you tell someone that you support Donald Trump or that you're a Republican, they call you a racist, a sexist, a homophobe, a bigot, that is because, number one, they are insecure about themselves. The way you view society is the way that you project yourself onto everyone else. That's why if somebody is judgmental, someone is hateful, someone goes out of their way to bring others down, it's because they themselves are insecure. And the second thing would be that their own thoughts and experiences is the anchor that they use. So they are bigots because you support Donald Trump. And because of that, they project their own bigotry onto you. That is why there's this great acronym that I like to live my life by. It's called TFAR, T-F-A-R. Your thoughts lead to your feelings, which lead to your actions, which lead to your results. After a while, your thoughts become beliefs. Beliefs then become automatic thoughts that drive your behavior. In other words, habits. So let me show you this right here. This is some of my notes, but I'll show you how it tends to go. Look at my Chinese horrible handwriting here. But you have your thoughts and beliefs. Everything begins with your thoughts and beliefs. And your thoughts form your feelings, you see. So you think it, it becomes how you feel. Then you take action. And then that is the result of the actions you take. And then that goes back into your beliefs. So let me give you an example. If my thought is that everyone is bigoted and homophobic, it begins in my mind. So I'm bigoted and I'm homophobic because it begins in my mind. And then that's the way I feel that other people are because I am that way. And then my action is to call someone a racist for supporting Trump. And then the result of that action is I call everyone racist, sexist, and bigoted, and that is my belief. And so that is what I think. That the real racists, the real homophobes, the real bigots are the ones that call everyone else that. And that is the way that they view reality. Notice they always talk about straight white males. They're bigoted towards straight white males. And then they project that bigotry onto everyone else. And that's why if you look at these people, a lot of them have horrible lives. A lot of them, they think negatively. See, my belief is all about, it doesn't matter how old you are, how strong you are, how smart you are, where you're from. Your actions lead to your results, and your results lead to what your life is defined by. Keeping that in mind, you have the power to change yourself. Think about it. You change your beliefs and your thoughts, you change your feelings, you change your actions, and you change your results. It's a cycle, right? But their belief is that not only are there people in power that, on the one hand, they're empowering women, right? Here's what I never got. On the one hand, you're empowering women and you're empowering others. But on the other hand, you cannot empower yourself enough that someone else is in control over your destiny. What I mean by that is if you say, we're empowering women by protesting, well, you're protesting other people's actions. See, if you really want to empower yourself or empower somebody else, you've got to change your actions. But they're always about changing other people's actions, whether that's the president, the legislators, business people, the media, whoever. They always want to change other people, and they say that's how they're empowering others under that guise, right? And also they think that everyone is homophobic, bigot, sexist, all this, because they are, right? And they project that onto everybody else. So imagine waking up and thinking, number one, you can never get ahead in business, in life, in any area, because there are people who are in charge of you that are homophobic, bigot, sexist, white supremacist, all this other stuff. And you can never get ahead. And then, not only that, but that's what society is full of. It's going to make you angry. It's going to make you on antidepressants. It's not going to make you do too well because you are not in control of your own destiny. There's prominent people who project this bullshit onto everybody else. That's what they do for a living. I won't name names because I don't want to give bigotry a platform. See, that's the difference between me. When I see a bigot, and I mean a legitimate bigot, not just someone who supports Trump, but a legitimate white supremacist or racist social justice warrior, I don't even mention their name because I don't want to give bigotry a platform. See, they're the ones that are making bigotry relevant in the discussion of ideas because they're bringing it up all the time, right? If someone's a bigot, and I'm not saying ignore bigotry, but if you're online and you see a dumb bigot, just ignore it. In real life, that's different. But how many of us actually see real bigots in real life? Most of the time it's through the prism of the television screen or it's through the prism of the smartphone screen. It's all through the prism of the screen, right? That's when you see it. Most people don't see it in real life. And then they see someone in an isolated incident in an isolated place and they think that is the projection of everyone else because they are making a judgment. And then they call us judgmental if we don't believe them. But I've seen prominent people who spew this bullshit. One of the women, and I will give you clues if you want to figure out who it is, she works for MTV. She has a show where all she does is talk about how bad white people are, how racist Donald Trump supporters are. She's the biggest bigot, the biggest racist there is, and she projects that onto everyone else. Well, she is depressed, she is losing her husband, she is losing everything because negativity is like a poison. When you think negative, when your thoughts are negative, then you feel negative. Then your actions are negative, and the results of those actions are negative, and your beliefs are negative, right? Like I said, TFAR, T-F-A-R. You can look this up. I didn't make this up. This is by a well-known psychologist. I don't follow psychology too often, so I don't know much about her, but she's accredited, and a lot of her papers have been peer-reviewed. So she's credible. But that is the way that they think. There's another woman on YouTube, she used to be really big. She made these videos talking about how everything is sexist. Gaming is sexist, movies are sexist, and she focuses on what she perceives to be sexist, which is negative. And now she is losing money. She is going bankrupt after getting tons of money to support her videos and getting very little views or relevance in the discussion. Every time you hear her, it's always about how she's a victim, how she can't go out to eat without being harassed, which I would highly doubt. And now I know there's isolated incidents, but I would highly doubt if she goes to a restaurant in her small town that she's going to get harassed. But see, she plays victim. Her entire premise, her entire deck of cards is built upon people being sexist. So she's profiting off that. The other reason people do that, like Al Sharpton and Jesse Jackson, it's about supply and demand. When the demand for racism is higher than the supply, what happens? Then you have to make up racism where it doesn't exist. Because that is the only way you remain relevant, right? Is through victimhood. So this is a complicated thing, but the real bigots, the real racists, the real sexists, they are the ones that talk about it all the time because they are projecting their thoughts onto everyone else.